We got a pretty heavy slate of MMA news slash drama to uncover today. First thing, you already see it on the screen. It's a Dillon Danis tweet, which you know means trouble. And who's it about? Ian Machado Garry's wife. We're going to get into this, which is a DM leaked from 2018 by Dillon Danis and Layla Machado Garry. We're also going to talk about Ian Garry supposedly being knocked out in sparring at Kill Cliff FC. And I think I know who was the guy that KO'd him. In other news, true UFC news, it's going to be about the two fights that were leaked by the Full Send podcast that included Dana White. It was on the board. We got two epic matchups that I'm looking forward to talking about. I guess I'll quickly spoil it. Cory Sandhagen, Umar Nurmagomedov, and Kevin Holland versus Michael Venom Page. We're going to talk about both those fights. And also a slight leak by Dana White that there's a fighter coming out of retirement next year for a super fight. So I'm looking forward to talking about everything. Make sure you guys smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Let's first jump right into the Ian Garry and Dillon Danis drama. For Ian Garry, it just doesn't stop at this point, but I feel like he brought it upon himself. You look back to him making Neil Magny look like a villain and a child abuser, and then even his comments on Vicente Luque's baptism post. Now he's in a shitstorm. So here are DMs between Layla Machado Garry, Ian Garry's 40-year-old wife, and Dillon Danis. So you can see she was the first one to send a message with the prayer hands sliding into a young athlete's DM. How to Be a Wag. If you guys don't know about the How to Be a Wag book and the whole drama with Ian Machado Garry and his wife, then you've been living under a rock. But she has a book about seducing young up-and-coming athletes slash celebrities in 2018. This is a long time ago now. This is 5 years back. I think this is pre-Ian Garry and Layla Machado Garry getting together. So she was scoping out Dillon Danis a bit before, up and coming in the jiu-jitsu scene, trains alongside Conor McGregor. And you can see just some basic messages there. Where are you from? She's English, but half Brazilian. And then she says, how are you today? She kept that convo going. Very cool, doing great. Where do you live? All right, so we don't know what the rest of this conversation looks like. We also don't know if there's a chance that Dillon Danis maybe had a mild love affair with Layla Machado Garry, but now he's even got dirt on Danis. And forget about the fact, or the possibility, I should say, of Danis having had any relations with Ian Garry's wife. It also just looks worse for the fact that many people believe that Layla Machado Garry's a gold digger here, and she kind of seduced a young athlete. She's 40, he's 26. She's a beautiful woman, intelligent, now manages Ian Machado Garry. He takes the last name from her lineage. The ex-husband lives at the house, and then Dillon Danis drops the cherry on top. How I feel about it is Ian Machado Garry better have his finances in order. Hopefully everything's not in the wife's name, or potentially we're looking at him getting sucked dry by her if there's any conflict that arises in the future between the two. Now, ultimately, as a nice guy, I hope that they're actually perfectly fine, and I hope this is all just coincidence. But when shit looks like shit, you know what it normally is? Shit. And that's what I think here. I think Layla Machado Garry wrote that book, and I don't think it was satirical. I think she's living the life that she absolutely dreamed about and what she wanted. She got it out of Ian Machado Garry, not Dillon Danis, but I thought those tweets were absolutely hilarious. It's like more of a shit storm on Ian Garry. It just keeps coming, man. He's been splurged with drama all week. I mean, granted, his name is in every MMA news video, which is great, right? But it's not positive. He's losing fans. People are tuning in to watch Ian Garry get slept, more so now than ever. And can you guys remember when Ian Garry first popped up on the scene and they compared him to a nice Conor McGregor, and it was like evil Khabib being Hamzat? How the tables have turned. Ian Garry ain't so nice, and he might be getting played too. But it's not just that. That's the drama side as far as his relationship, which has been delved into by the likes of MMA Guru and obviously Deshaun Strickland, telling him pretty much get the hell out of that relationship. And then the potential lawsuit pending for Strickland and maybe MMA Guru, which is absolutely nuts when really they're just dropping information that exists for the online to already see. They're just giving their opinions on it. So I don't agree with no lawsuit in that, calling it defamation and whatnot. I think it's just opinion news, and that's what the whole game is opinion news. But besides just this here, okay, there's more Ian Garry stuff that has come out and dropped, and I want to make sure that the audio is going to play here. Hopefully the audio isn't like disgustingly loud, and I should probably plug a headphone in for this. But we have a Brendan Allen interview from today that came out, and it was exciting. It was exciting to hear that Ian Garry supposedly got hands put on him in sparring pretty badly. So let's listen in.
But just know there's video, and he knows what name not to say to let it come out of what happened to him. I'm not going to release it, but just know there is someone in that gym that has slept him out. So
slept him out. Is it just me, or already I know who it is? Why is it that I think it's the nicest guy in MMA, Gilbert Burns, that chinned him? Because have you noticed the relationship between Burns and Garry? Garry's like always extra sweet to Gilbert Burns. And Burns also is very nice to Ian Garry, like how they embraced at, I believe, UFC 295. They were cool with each other. There's a lot of love there. Is it possible that, Gilbert Burns big brothered him in the gym? Maybe Ian Garry, hot shot, coming in thinking he's going to whoop everybody's ass, and then a big overhand landed. Hey, Song Kinan dropped Ian Garry with a wide shot, and who's the king of the looping overhands? It's got to be Gilbert Burns. I definitely think there's a possibility of Burns being the guy that slept him. I know a lot of people will be speculating that it's Shavkat Rakhmonov. I could see it, maybe, but let's be real here. Ian Garry's a pretty slick striker. Shavkat with the MMA base and like the really good wrestling and stand-up too. But like, who's got the overhand that's going to catch you when you're not even seeing it coming? It's got to be Gilbert Burns. That just resonated with me. I'm like, I think it was Gilbert Burns. Now, you could also guess maybe was it he sparred with Usman and got knocked out? I don't know. Something's just inside of me saying it's Gilbert Burns. I've never heard Ian Garry say anything bad about Gilbert Burns or, to be honest, Shavkat Rakhmonov either. The interesting thing, though, is Ian Garry is fighting Gilbert Burns' boy in Vicente Luque here at UFC 296. So I wonder if maybe they're adding in some looping shots to Luque's game. Because I actually think with Vicente Luque, his style is like the perfect fight for Ian Garry to thrive in against a real top-ranked guy in the world. I just think his slick stand-up that Ian Garry has is going to be better than Luque's. I'm picking Garry to beat Luque. Just so you guys know, if you guys don't already know. I've said it on live streams. I think that Ian Garry is more slick than Luque at this point. I think he can do damage and win the fight. Nonetheless, Gilbert Burns catching him with an overhand, maybe working with Vicente Luque, who knows? Word on the street is he's knocked out. I'm going to guess it's Gilbert Burns just because it's like the nice guy that you wouldn't expect it from, and Gary's never saying anything negative about Burns. Could it be Shavkat? Sure. Could it be Impa Kasanganay? Sure. Could it even be Andre Fialho? Maybe. But the fact that Brendan Allen says he never says something about this guy, never says anything negative, I got to assume it's a UFC guy. I got to assume it's somebody that's known by the public. And I never heard Ian Garry ever mention Gilbert Burns' name negatively. I don't think he's mentioned it, period, but I see them as boys with one another. And I can see maybe Gilbert Burns knocked him out and felt bad, and now he's real sweet with Ian Garry. So that was interesting, too. So the Ian Garry shitstorm just continues. It's just getting more and more piled on with Brendan Allen dropping this leak, with Dillon Danis dropping the leak. I find it very fun to see how crazy this whole saga is going to turn out. And I wonder that UFC 296 press conference, if Colby Covington is already going to be ripping apart Ian Garry. I'm so intrigued. I cannot wait for 296's fights, but 296's press conference might be a bigger deal than the actual fight card because some crazy shit is guaranteed to be said, and I'm looking forward to it. That's pretty much the shitstorm of the Ian Garry news. Outside of that, now we're heading into more, MMA-based news and excitement. that's more fight centric, right? Not just about the shitstorm of talk. I'll quickly look at these two tweets here that are interesting. We got the big board, that UFC 297 fight card. We have a leak. You can see it here. Kevin Holland versus M. Page. I already speculated that Michael Venom Page was signed with the UFC after Don Davis's interview with Ariel Helwani saying that, oh, isn't he with the UFC and, not being released to the public? But I'm assuming that's the fight. And Holland versus Michael Venom Page is an awesome matchup. Then we also got the fight card here for February 10th. Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov at the top, which I think is an awesome matchup. I want to elaborate more on both of these matchups, and I'm going to put it into full screen here as I talk about these fights, and I'll throw the headphone off. I feel like, first things first, MVP versus Kevin Holland is like the perfect stylistic matchup for MVP in a UFC debut. I will say that MVP is a guy that's definitely widely known across the MMA sphere, regardless of fight promotion. He was with Bellator, but I think there are, a fair amount of fans that know about MVP. But I know I have friends that are more on the casual side, and they don't know about Michael Venom Page. What is the best way to put him in the limelight? Give him a fan favorite in Kevin Holland, a true clash of strikers. I love this fight. The karate-esque striking style and slickness that Michael Venom Page brings to the table, alongside of Kevin Holland, who's very good at striking, is very long. Actually, now I got to pull something up. I want to look. What is the reach differential between these two? Kevin Holland, I know, has some long arms, but I want to see Michael Venom Page. Let's see here. Kevin Holland's reach, I believe, is 81 inches. Yeah, 81 inches for Holland. What's Michael Venom Page? Let's see. Michael Venom Page, where we at? It's interesting. Google has him as a British kickboxer. The disrespect by Google. He's an MMA fighter. What? 79-inch reach. It's only a 2-inch reach difference between these guys. Also, though, 36-year-old Michael Venom Page, he looks a lot younger than that, but he is 5 years older than Kevin Holland. I find that interesting. Both guys the same height, though, striking styles. And like, if you put Michael Venom Page in a big spot on a UFC 297 card in a debut, include him in the countdown, include him in the embedded series, the fans that don't know about him are going to catch a liking to him. And then if he can go out there and have a showcase performance against somebody as good as Kevin Holland, who just came off of a back and forth with Jack Della Maddalena, who went to war with Wonder Boy Thompson, this could be huge for the UFC welterweight division. I think Michael Venom Page, with a win in his UFC debut, immediately becomes a fan favorite and a player for big matchups in the division. And his style is so tricky to deal with. I mean, if you have seen Michael Venom Page, you know about the knockout of Cyborg years ago. You know the fact that he kills pretty much everybody they put in front of him in Bellator, aside from, that lay and pray wrestling style and the, competitive decision / controversial decision last time he fought against Douglas Lima. But ultimately in the UFC is where we need to see Michael Venom Page. I want to see that level of stand-up. I like the fight with Kevin Holland. I think MVP takes a decision on Kevin Holland. I feel like this is a hard fight for Holland because Michael Venom Page from the outside, I know Holland has a little bit longer reach, but I still think Michael Venom's Page kicks are going to be a huge factor in this fight from range. I think that the Kevin Holland game, skill set wise and toughness, he can go the distance, but I don't see him winning the fight. I'm picking Michael Venom Page by a decision. That's the early prediction for this fight. I expect MVP and Holland's lines to be close, but the bookies know about Michael Venom Page. He'll be a bit of a favorite coming in. I'm seeing him at like a -130, -150, something along those lines, where he is at the favorite status, Holland at plus money, but the favorite's going to win it, man. And I think Michael Venom Page in the UFC is amazing for the company. Now, the next fight leak, this one here is Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Initially, we were supposed to get this fight earlier on this year. Obviously, did not happen. Nurmagomedov is the prospect that everybody's got their eye on. The cousin of Khabib Nurmagomedov, the cousin of a legend, right? And also the brother of Usman Nurmagomedov, who did tremendous work throughout Bellator. Granted, pop for PEDs, and that just aids to some concern, like, shit, if he's taking it, who's to say that the rest of the Dagestani gang is not taking it? not making accusations, no proof on that, but just a thought, right? Granted, he said it was prescribed by a doctor, but doctors prescribe steroids, especially if you're in Russia, I could imagine. So Umar Nurmagomedov, though, versus Cory Sandhagen. When I think about this fight, I feel as though right now, Cory Sandhagen's skill set is going to come into play very nicely here. He's a lot more diverse with the stand-up. I think Umar Nurmagomedov is a great fighter, like on the come-up, or very good. Great's an overuse. But the fact that we just saw Cory Sandhagen have grappling success against Rob Font, beat up a Marlon Chito Vera, I think Umar Nurmagomedov is very good, but he's still young in the game. Cory Sandhagen with takedown defense that's on point, with more tools in the striking, let's be honest, I would say that even though Umar Nurmagomedov is probably the better athlete between the two, Cory Sandhagen has more weapons in the striking department, and I think he's going to use those elbows on the inside. He's going to defend takedowns. I feel as though we have a hard 5 rounds, but it's going to be a veteran lesson. Sandhagen has fought the who's who, whereas Umar Nurmagomedov, he's the next guy in the come-up. Let's look at Umar real quick. Umar's last few fights. Where's the Tapology at? All right, here we go. Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm pulling a Joe Rogan. Nurmagomedov. Let's see. Umar right here. All right, UFC.com doesn't want to load. We got Tapology instead. Last fight, Hayani Barshalos knockout. That was awesome. Nate Maness decision. Brian Kelleher submission. Sergey Morozov submission. So I got 4-0 in the UFC, who has not fought the upper echelon by any means, versus Cory Sandhagen, who has win over Rob Font, win over Marlon Vera, win over Song Yadong, competitive loss to Piotr Yan, competitive loss that he could have won against TJ Dillashaw, knockout of Frankie Edgar, knockout of Marlon Moraes, loss to Aljamain Sterling, win over Rafael Assunção. He beat John Lineker. I mean, you go down the list. Come on now, man. I think that veteran experience is a big factor. And something we also have to take into consideration is Umar hasn't been tested at that level. Granted, he's a big guy, 5'8" with the 69-inch reach for Umar Nurmagomedov. Sandhagen 5'10" with the 70-inch reach. I'm curious what the betting odds are going to look like for this fight. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, last time out, Sandhagen was an underdog against Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm curious if we're going to see him at underdog status again after putting on a display with Rob Font. And obviously, he had the win over Marlon Vera. To me, I think Sandhagen can beat Umar Nurmagomedov. I feel as though the guy's really good. Umar, potential through the roof. He's 28 years of age. No, 27 years of age. My mistake. But he does turn 28 in 4 weeks. So by the time they fight, he'll be 28. He's emerging into his prime. But for Sandhagen, it's right now. He has a win over now number 1 contender, Marlon Vera. If this fight's actually going to come to fruition, this is a risky chance fight that Sandhagen is taking to defend the number 1 contender throne against a very hungry guy on the come up. But if there's anybody gangster enough to do it, it's Sandhagen. And I'm going to pick Sandhagen to get the win. I could see a TKO with elbows. I could see damage being done. But we also could see this fight going the full 5 and Sandhagen squeaking on a close decision. I just want to see how Umar does against someone higher level before I go out and pick him against somebody like Cory Sandhagen. So I'm going to pick Cory Sandhagen early. I think that he gets the win here against Umar Nurmagomedov. 2 huge fights that were just leaked. That Full Send podcast, whenever they're recording at the UFC headquarters, we always got fight leaks. So hopefully they keep that podcast consistent because I love the fight leaks. But we're not done just yet. There's one more thing, okay? There was one more note, and I believe I just had a hair on my shoulder there. Hopefully it wasn't there for the whole video. If it is what it is. Okay, this right here is Dana White leaking something important. Listen to this, guys. Let me put the headphone in, and we'll listen to this.
Is there any other super fights that you could see happening over the next 2 years or year?
There is. We're talking about one right now, actually, that just popped up a few days ago. So I can't talk about it, but till we get a.
Is it involved McGregor at all?
Well, every fight that you would consider a super.
He jumped off the page with it. Now, listen to this.
Super fight would involve McGregor, but this one isn't. No.
So it isn't with McGregor. So how my brain works is, okay, biggest names that are retired from the game that could be coming back for a legacy fight. George St. Pierre, 100% in the mix for that. Ronda Rousey, still 100% in the mix for that. Issue is I'd have a hard time seeing Rousey immediately being put in to a world title fight. But then again, if Mayra Bueno Silva or Raquel Pennington or Juliana Pena is champion, these are a lot more winnable fights for even a well past their prime and ring rusty Ronda Rousey than like we look at Amanda Nunes would have ever been. But something weird inside of me is saying, is George St. Pierre going to come back for one more? I don't know why I'm thinking it might be him. He always stays in shape. His boy Abin Mercier just won his second $1 million tournament in PFL. Maybe it's got the itch back inside. And could you imagine we have GSP return to the UFC and fight for the welterweight title again, and potentially against Colby Covington or Leon Edwards, or even imagine a super fight with Makhachev. Granted, I don't see Makhachev and him happening without that 170 belt on the line. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. I doubt it's Khabib. I won't believe that it's Khabib. No way. And what name comes out of retirement that rings a bell like, yes, they could be put into a title fight? It's either Rousey or it's GSP. It's not going to be Anderson Silva. The UFC let him go. He had the Jake Paul loss and whatnot. Something's telling me George St. Pierre, number one. But second option, I think it's Ronda Rousey. Hopefully we get more info on this. I like how Dana just absolutely dangled the freaking fruit at us of this super fight, but didn't tell us any details on who it is. But yeah, something's whispering there's a chance of GSP or Rousey. I don't know. I'm thinking that might be it. Super fight, super names. It's got to be one of those two. Either way, what a day's worth of MMA news and drama, because we had a pretty damn fun video today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I told you guys, I'm staying consistent with these news, reactions, and MMA drama and more type videos. So definitely let me know what you thought of the video in the comments down below. I got much love for each and every one of you. Thank you guys all for tuning into the show. Signing off. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace, everybody.